It's Tuesday, October 25th, and this is Now on HNN.
Not enough people are getting it. We've got to change that.
President Biden gets an updated COVID booster shot as he issues warnings over a potential winter case surge and lack of funding.
After a delay, the Navy kicks off the first phase of a massive Red Hill defueling effort.
China's toilet revolution, how activists are using hidden protest messages.
All these stories plus the best ways to book your holiday travel. If you haven't done so already, you better do it now. That's coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thanks for having lunch with us right here in the HNN Digital Center. We got Ashley back with us. Let's get right to today's top story.
That's right. New TV ads are sending an urgent message to communities at high risk of severe illness from COVID. Chris Wynn has today's Talker Story.
COVID-19 cases have been dropping overall, but experts say they could climb once again this winter as several new variants start to gain traction, which is why health officials are really making this urgent push.
Let's be real. I can't be at my best if my health is slacking.
New ads promoting the COVID-19 vaccine boosters are making their debut, targeting specific communities that have had a slow uptake of the updated shots.
I stay up to date so I can stay on point for the ones I love.
Black audiences are encouraged to get vaccinated in this video, which was released this week by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
No te pierdas el partido.
A Spanish-language ad targeting Latino audiences also started airing this week, with an English version scheduled for release next month during the FIFA World Cup. The TV ads will run in 15 markets across the country. Radio and print versions will run in 30 markets. HHS says messaging will also be focused on rural communities, plus Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders.
If you're relying on a vaccine you got 6 months or 9 months ago, or an infection you got a year ago to get you through this fall and winter, there's a pretty high likelihood that the new subvariants are going to escape immunity from that.
The updated booster shots are bivalent, meaning they target the original coronavirus strain as well as the Omicron BA4, BA5 subvariants.
Get vaccinated.
President Joe Biden receiving his booster Tuesday, urging those who are eligible to get on board.
Not enough people are getting it. We've got to change that so we can all have a safe and healthy holiday season.
And Ashley, past studies show that people who are boosted have more protection against COVID-19 illness and even infection compared to those who are past due for their booster shot. Here in Washington today, I'm Chris Wynn, Hawaii News Now. Ashley, back to you.
Now, Chris, we know the worry is as the weather gets colder, more people are going to be heading indoors. Not so much a problem here in Hawaii, but definitely on the mainland. Do we know how many people have gotten the COVID booster this season so far?
Yeah, according to the CDC, about 14.8 million people have received the updated vaccine in the past 6 weeks or so. Sounds like a lot of folks, but not really. It's just 10% of the eligible population. So the numbers not where the government would like them to be. Ashley?
All right, Chris Wynn joining us this afternoon. We appreciate the time, Chris.
Here at home, this story breaking today. Fraud charges against a Hawaii shipbuilding company. The Department of Justice says Curtis and Jamie Jackson scammed more than 400 investors out of more than $28 million. The married couple had reportedly promised for more than 10 years that their semi-sub 1 prototype was weeks or months away from operation. Instead, they allegedly spent the money on luxury homes in California and Hawaii and on marijuana and even psychics, among other things. The pair also defied orders from Pennsylvania and California banning them from selling securities in those states. They're charged with security fraud, mail fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy, and they'll face up to 80 years in prison if convicted. Curtis Jackson is 69 years old. He made a court appearance yesterday in Hawaii. Jamie Jackson is 59. Her court appearance was also yesterday in Connecticut. An important update to get to right now regarding the tainted water crisis at Red Hill. An important step in that defueling process is set to begin today. We're bringing in our Casey Lund to talk more about this. Casey, I keep hearing about unpacking. What does that mean?
So unpacking, Jonathan, is different than the defueling. When we talk about draining the fuel from those massive tanks, unpacking is really the process of the Navy removing the fuel that's left in 3 primary pipelines that are connected to those tanks, but a separate portion of all this. So they have to remove the fuel from those lines. That's going to take some time, about 6 days. We'll talk more about the timeline in just a moment, but it's really crucial that they get that done because they have to make repairs to those pipelines so that they can start eventually draining those massive tanks. So this really is the first physical step. There have been months of planning ahead of this to get us to this point, but really the first physical step when we talk about removing the fuel. And it's also the very first time that any fuel has been moved from the facility since almost a full year's time.
All right, Casey, so talking about planning, how did the military prepare for this to make sure it all goes off without a hitch?
Well, you know, that was a massive undertaking in and of itself. They had months of planning putting into this, and they had to do 6 separate drills. They were working with the Department of Health and with the EPA. Now, the Department of Health, they say, is still the lead state regulatory agency that they're working very closely with. There's been a lot of back and forth and contention, of course, over the last couple of years, but they've been working closely with those partners as well as a third-party contractor to run through these drills. They're preparing for things like a spill and a fire, some really catastrophic things that would really slow down this whole process, and not to mention a spill could leave more fuel getting into the aquifer. So they did a lot of planning, a lot of testing, and a lot of rehearsing ahead of this. The Navy says, though, working with those partners, they do feel that they're ready to move forward with the unpacking.
All right, Casey, go ahead and run us through that timeline you were mentioning earlier. What's it look like?
So essentially, today is the first day of 6 that the Navy says is the unpacking portion of all this. Again, draining the fuel from those pipelines. They're going to be working in 2 to 3 hour shifts each day, so a little over 12 hours total. That's if everything goes as planned. Then they can get in, do the repairs they need for that infrastructure, so they begin draining the fuel. It'll be brought down here to Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam and stored in above ground tanks and fuel barges used to support aircrafts and ships that are already here. They say it won't leave the region. Now, one other portion of this that's really important to mention as far as timeline goes, you know, this was delayed a week because of those serious series of water main breaks that the Navy had to go in kind of emergency response mode to get those repaired. They have made those repaired. They said that that's not going to affect the overall timeline, and that is important to mention as well. They say the target date for that, Jonathan, is still July of 2024.
All right, Casey Lund, thank you for that update.
After being officially invited to form a government by King Charles III, Britain's new prime minister is paying tribute to his predecessor, Liz Truss.
She was not wrong to want to improve growth in this country. It is a noble aim. And I admired her restlessness to create change.
Sunak is just 42 years old, making him the youngest British leader in more than 200 years. He is also the UK's first leader of color. Sunak is a former hedge fund manager and has an estimated net worth of $800 million. More developing international news, activists in China are hiding messages of protests in public bathrooms. Selena Wang has more.
Graffiti with angry messages scribbled all over bathroom stalls might be a common sight in much of the world, but not in China. The Chinese character scrawled in this Beijing bathroom reads, "Anti-dictatorship, anti-COVID tests." Messages like this are spreading in bathrooms in several Chinese cities. It's because public restrooms are one of the only places in tightly surveilled China without security cameras. This graffiti says, "Remove dictator and national traitor, Xi Jinping," some of them even written in English. "No to COVID test, yes to food, No to lockdown, yes to freedom. No to great leader, yes to vote. Don't be a slave, be a citizen. Their messages copy the slogans written on 2 banners hung on a busy overpass in Beijing, a rare protest in the capital just days before the start of the Communist Party Congress. The banners cleaned up, then quickly censored from Chinese social media. But it didn't stop people from replicating the act around the world. The same slogans hung on London's Westminster Bridge and draped over the Chinese embassy in London. But inside China, public displays of dissent towards Xi are extremely rare. It can lead to long prison sentences, or even worse. We spoke to one man who graffitied in a bathroom, were shielding his identity because of fears of retribution.
I had to wear a mask, and when I was writing, I was worried someone might catch me. We can only write slogans in places like bathrooms to express our political views. It's so pathetic we've been suppressed to this degree.
In another Chinese city, a person wrote the same slogans with a picture of Winnie the Pooh in a crown. Cancelled. China has censored any images of the cartoon character being compared to Xi. The author texted CNN, "I hope people who see my slogan can start changing their minds, realizing they've been brainwashed. We have no way to independently verify all of the graffiti, and it's unclear how widely held these views are in a police state. But frustrations in China over the country's zero-COVID measures are growing. Harsh lockdowns over a handful of COVID cases, constant COVID testing, mass quarantine facilities. The anti-Xi slogans are rapidly spreading from China to campuses in America and around the world. And in Paris, an outdoor play to parody Xi Jinping's rule. Xi dressed up in the emperor's clothes, then being dragged down by COVID enforcers.
If we don't do anything, it means we're willing to be ruled by the CCP. When I saw the graffiti in that bathroom, I started crying. It shows that some of the Chinese people want democracy and freedom of speech and are willing to pay a price for it.
Yet Xi's power is ironclad. The public's anger reduced to scribbles in bathroom stalls, and even those will be quickly painted over. Selena Wang, CNN, Hong Kong.
Now I want to toss things over to our Dylan Encheta, who is following some breaking news from the mainland.
4 people were hurt, 3 of them critically injured when a tanker truck and several other vehicles were involved on a crash on I-95 in Florida earlier today. Take a look at this wild video into our newsroom. The multi-vehicle crash happened hours ago and plumes of black smoke were seen billowing into the air. It wasn't immediately clear how the wreck occurred or if charges might be filed in the case. A 4th person was rushed to a local hospital for treatment, but information about their condition was pending. We're also monitoring this breaking news. A magnitude 5.1 earthquake struck in the San Francisco Bay Area, according to the United States Geological Survey. The quake happened around 11:42 a.m. Pacific time and has been felt across the Bay Area. There were no immediate reports of any injuries or damage, and of course, there was no widespread tsunami generated from this. For This Is Now, I'm Dylan Encheta.
Thank you very much, Dylan. Time for Unraveling Your Traveling. Yes. So CBS News Senior Travel Advisor Peter Greenberg is with us again today. He says air travel is thriving still, and that's even though the industry is dishing out fewer flights with higher fares. Here's his explanation.
Well, 2 things are happening simultaneously. One, travel demand has stayed strong even though this is the 4th quarter. And traditionally, there's not a lot of people who fly during the 4th quarter, but the demand is strong, coupled with the fact that airlines are flying about 10% fewer flights than they did 3 years ago. So all the planes are full, law of supply and demand kicks in, airfares either stay high or go higher. Well, the good news is those numbers will drop off. Some business travel will come back, of course, but not to 2019 levels. And if people play it smart and travel off-season, you'll see lower airfares and more seat availability. And that'll stay probably through May 15th. After that, we're back in the season. Airfares and availability, one goes up and the other goes down.
Thank you, Peter. A lot of people wondering about this. Of course, holiday travel just around the corner. And Expedia is out with this annual air travel hacks report. Among the tips, they say the best day to fly for Thanksgiving Thanksgiving is the Friday before the holiday or the day of. I've done that day of before. Empty airports there. And for Christmas, it's the weekend before. The problem with that, Expedia, not all of us can get that huge week off. So good luck there.
I was also surprised they said that Sunday is the best day for fairs. I always thought it was Tuesday for some reason.
I have heard so much back and forth about this. In my beat of Unraveling Your Traveling, I've heard so many dates. I'm going to say, just if you see a good fair, book it because it's going to change. It's not the day of the week.
Right.
Shop around, and when you see it, book refundable. And if it goes lower, refund your ticket, get the new one.
Yeah,
All right.
I like that. Well, staying with the theme of flying, it's no surprise that no one wants that dreaded middle seat.
No way.
Well, the airline Virgin Australia is getting creative to try to change that. The airline is offering a lottery to entice people to pick the least popular seat. Now, there's a weekly prize from a prize pool worth about $145,000, but you have to sit in the middle seat voluntarily or involuntarily during a flight to be eligible. So some of the prizes, pretty cool: a full day helicopter pub crawl, a 2-night Australian vacation that includes flights, accommodations, and a bungee jump.
Yay.
And there are also flights and tickets to the Australian Football League Grand Final with exclusive access to the pregame lunch and after party.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Helicopter pub crawl? We were joking earlier. Do you have to sit in the middle seat for that? I hope not. I hope not. All right, guys. Got to switch gears here now. I want to take you live outside to Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh.
Yeah, we have never taken you live there before. Check it out. Look at that camera bouncing around, and look at those fall colors. I was talking to my parents yesterday in Southern Illinois, asking them about the fall colors. They're saying it's so windy here, it's knocking all the leaves off super early. But they still got a few there, but I'm seeing some bare trees there as well. Man, that's bouncing around. So what's our weather like? It also includes some winds returning, I hear. Here's Guy Hoggy. He's back with your forecast.
It's going to be quite breezy today, tomorrow. In fact, probably into the weekend, we'll have these breezy trade winds. And then starting on Thursday, they'll start to ease up a little bit. We'll still have a trade wind breeze through the weekend, but notice lighter winds for the east end of the state over the weekend as well. So your 7-day forecast is looking nice, although we are expecting more clouds and more showers from Thursday in through the weekend. You'll need your umbrella, especially on those Windward and Mauka neighborhoods in the overnight and early morning hours. Fair bit of sunshine until then. Fair bit of trade winds. Again, the trade winds picking up speed. You'll notice those winds. So small craft advisories are posted for most coastal waters. Those winds will run firm through tomorrow, slightly easing on Thursday, easing even more starting on Sunday.
All right, let's see what the internet is abuzz about today. And we got a McDonald's story. A lot of people talking about this one.
Yeah, so the McRib is making a comeback like it usually does, but this could be the last time. Calling it the McRib Farewell Tour, McDonald's said in a statement that after this promotion, the 520-calorie sandwich won't be sold nationally for a while, and this could be your last time to taste it. The McRib will be back on menus October 31st, and you have until November 20th to say your goodbyes or maybe a hui ho.
Not my favorite sandwich out there.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, I don't get the fake bone thing.
It reminds me of this sandwich they used to feed us in elementary school, and maybe that's why I'm not.
No, cafeteria memories definitely coming back. For sure, for sure. All right, let's go now to New York, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this casino, check this out. So the crossroads of the world could be getting a casino. Caesars Entertainment and SL Green Realty Corporation announced a proposal to open one in New York's Times Square. Now, they want to redevelop an existing 54-story office tower that includes a theater that's home to the Broadway musical The Lion King. It would be called Caesars Palace Times Square. Now, the state approved up to 3 full-service casino licenses for the New York City area back in April, and the licenses will cost at least $500 million each.
Ooh, what a wild location for a casino.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Speaking of contests, no gambling here. This is totally legit contest. This Is Now's annual costume contest is on. Submit your photos right now at H&N's digital platforms. I just posted the submission link to our Facebook page. If you're having trouble finding it, you're entering to win some awesome prizes from the international marketplace, some of the great restaurants there offering up some gift cards for us to give away. Looking forward to seeing those awesome costumes, guys. To some good news now. There is this viral baby beaver that is really, that's hard to say, really taken the internet by storm. Here's our good friend Jeannie Mose with more on that.
If you want a dam in your doorway, might as well just
leave it to Beaver.
This beaver named Nibby, an orphan living at the Newhouse Wildlife Rescue Center in Massachusetts, where she doesn't get along with another female beaver named Zeeby. So when Zeeby was moved to another enclosure, Nibby became a busy beaver.
Tell me about the damn video.
I'll tell you about the dam.
Rescue Center founder Jane Newhouse says as soon as Zeeby left the rehab room, Nibby instantly began damming up the door through which her nemesis had departed. She went back for a stick she'd dropped, and when she got the foundation laid, she left with a spring in her step that captivated the internet. The hippity hop is rare enough that biologists contacted Jane.
They asked if I had raised Nibby maybe with a rabbit or some kind of animal that hops a lot.
Nope, that's just something Nibby does when she's excited. As for the dam building, that's instinctual behavior for baby beavers, even without parental instruction.
It's so ingrained in them, they'll take anything.
Toys, blankets, whatever. During our interview, Nibby occasionally bumped the camera.
And we,
And the 5-month-old
Nibby from being meat. Sorry.
Had to be restrained when she attacked the door.
Chewing on the door.
She is more inspired to build dams when she hears rain or when a faucet is running. Jane turned one on.
Oh, she's hopping.
But Nibby is hopping mad at Zeeby, and this is one baby beaver who really gives a damn. Jeannie Mose, CNN.
She is very mad about it.
New York.
Cute.
Oh, I love it. Stay out, Zibby.
Yeah, that's adorable. Some more animal stories to get to. Why not?
Yeah, check out these animals caught on camera by some amazing wildlife photographers.
Aww.
You have everything from a grinning moose to a fish that fights back, and yep, a gassy zebra.
Oh my gosh.
So these images are some of the 40 finalists in this year's Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards. Professional and amateur photographers alike can submit their pics capturing the lighter side of the animal kingdom. Now, each year the competition supports one conservation organization, and this year's recipient is the Whitley Fund for Nature, which supports conservation in the global south.
So, I was at Kaimana's on Sunday, and I think I have a contender, but it's video.
Oh, okay.
All right, so check out what happened when the lifeguards were shutting down, you know, at around sunset.
Right.
So, yep, they had to make an alternative exit, and here is why. Uh-oh. One of the monk seals was blocking the staircase there at the lifeguard stand on Sunday. Yeah. They just let them be. They were really trying to get that bucket there for a moment. They were trying to put it back in the lifeguard stand so no one would mess with it, or the monk seal. But they gave up because that monk seal was given some major attitude towards that lifeguard when he got a little too close. So, yeah, love Kaimanas. Those monk seals have been so active the last couple of years. All right, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. Ashley's back first at 4 on KHNL. Have a good one.
See ya.